What's up, you guys? So I want us to quickly look at something. So we are on GeoGebra Classic. So I want to talk about the equation of a straight line perpendicular to the x-axis or y-axis. Okay. So check where the line is at. Okay, this line is perpendicular to the x-axis, right? Definitely, right? Perpendicular to the axis. So now, whatever axis the line is perpendicular to, the equation is always going to be, if it's perpendicular to the x-axis, the equation is going to be x is equals to some constant. But if the line is perpendicular to the y-axis, then its equation is going to be y is equals to some constant. Now, if you check that, if you look at point A, right, there's point A. Since this line, right, is perpendicular to the x-axis, right, we're only going to focus on the x coordinate. Okay, so the equation of this line is going to be x is equals to 15. So also you can check where the line cuts the x-axis. That's 15, right? So x is equals to 15. All right, and if you check the x coordinates of both A and B, the points A and B, right? A and B, they're 15. Okay, and even if you try to go further down, any point which lies on the same line will have the very same x coordinate. You understand? But let's check what happens when we start moving this line here to the left. Right? So you can see that both x coordinates for A and B, right, have become 10 now. All right? It's because we moved to the left. Okay? So if you keep on moving this line, now the x coordinates are 5, and then eventually it's gonna get to a point whereby the x coordinates are 0, right? And you guys need to pay attention to where that is going to occur. So you can see finally the x coordinates are 0, but check, these x coordinates are 0 and our perpendicular line coincides with what? The y-axis. Okay, so now if you ask me what is the equation for this line AB, well, x is equal to 0. Remember, for as long as the line is perpendicular to the x-axis, this equation is going to start with x. So x is equal to, how do we know which value? We pay attention to the x coordinate. So x is equal to 0. So the equation for the y-axis is x is equal to 0. So now check what happens. If you now start moving this line further to the left, you see now it's becoming minus 5. The y coordinate, the x coordinate for both A and B, it's minus 5. Also, while the line cuts the x-axis, it's minus 5. So the equation is x is equal to minus 5. You can keep on moving the line to the left, to the right. We know, we don't have to get distracted. We still got to focus on the x coordinate in order for us to be able to figure out the equation, for as long as this line is perpendicular to the x-axis. But sometimes they will try to confuse and say there's a line which is parallel to the y-axis. You gotta know that it's perpendicular to the x-axis. You can see that this line is still parallel to the y-axis. No matter how far you move it from the y-axis, it will still be parallel to it. But parallel to the y-axis means perpendicular to the x-axis. But you need to think in terms of perpendicularity, because that's very much related to like it forms basis for how we're going to determine the equation. Okay, because if you know, okay, our line is perpendicular to the x-axis, our equation is going to be x is equal to some constant. If our line is perpendicular to the y-axis, our equation is going to be y is equal to some constant. Do you understand? So that's why I'm saying there's a relationship between which line which axis your line is perpendicular to. But if they say it's parallel to the y-axis, they're just gonna confuse it because there's no relationship between what axis your line is parallel to and how to figure out the equation of that line. So yeah, so you always need to go back to which axis your line is perpendicular to. So let's get rid of this and oh, maybe we can just let me see if I'm gonna be able to do that. Move this line like that, right? Yes. So you can see that now we've got a slightly different scenario, okay? And that is simply because our line is no longer perpendicular to the x-axis. Now it's perpendicular to the y-axis and parallel to the x-axis. Now, how do you figure out the equation of a line which is perpendicular to the y-axis or parallel to the x-axis, right? Remember, whatever the line is perpendicular to, that forms basis to how you're going to figure out the equation. In this case, this line is perpendicular to the y-axis, so its equation is going to be y is equal to some constant, okay? And we obviously going to pay attention to the y coordinate. Now let's check here. The y coordinate is just 15, 15. Okay, so meaning that our equation is going to be y is equals to 15. So if we move this down, you realize that also only the y values are changing, right? This doesn't want to move now. Okay, so only the y values are changing, right? The y values are now at 10, so the equation of the line is y is equal to 10, right? Y values are now at 5. The equation of the line is now at y is equals to, I can't get to 5 exactly now. I don't know what the problem is, but yeah. So it becomes a bit interesting when now this line here coincides with what we call the x-axis, okay? In other words, it's exactly on top of the x-axis. All right, I'm trying to do that, but yeah, it's a bit challenging. All right, so now when this line coincides with what we call the x-axis, the equation is going to be y is 0, because you can see that where the two are actually equal, it's okay, just a second, because I'm trying and okay, finally we're at 0. Okay, so now the y coordinate is 0 if we check, and this line AB is still perpendicular to the y-axis, meaning that this equation is going to be y is equal to some constant. And remember what I said, we pay attention to the y coordinate for as long as the line is perpendicular to the y-axis. So y is equal to 0. So I mean, if AB is exactly coinciding with the x-axis and its equation is y is equal to 0, what can you say about the x-axis? The equation of the x-axis is y is equal to 0. So if you move the thing further down, you realize that now the equation is y equals to -5. So we're paying attention to the y coordinates, okay? Simply because this line is perpendicular to the y-axis. So that is it, you guys. And you know, sometimes they're not really gonna tell you because okay, to figure out the equation of this line, the first thing you can do is you can focus on where it intersects with the y-axis. Then you just say, okay, it's at -10, so the equation is going to be y is equals to -10. Or you focus on the coordinates, right? But you pay attention on the y coordinate because this is perpendicular to the y-axis, right? Right. If you look at A, the y coordinate is -10, so y is equals to -10. B, also it's -10, so on and so forth. So that is it, you guys. Hope you all enjoyed the lesson. Until next time.